Fuck.
What's up, guys?
What's up? What's up? What's up? I better pull up the stream chat.
No rab today, so we're going rogue today.
A star player's not here, boys. LeBron is benched.
Bro, I definitely need to move my desk around. God damn.
What, are you in a room right now, or like you're like...
Yeah, ready?
dining
I'll turn
area?
it around real quick. So like that way is like my aquarium. My living room's right over there.
Yeah.
Then I got like my face stuff on that shelf right up there.
Yeah. The room looks massive from that angle. I'll be honest with you.
It's pretty big. But I have like all my fucking old bar stuff in the back, so it like looks like I'm over here.
Just been an alcoholic.
Yeah. How's everyone's Tuesday going?
I mean, it's Wednesday for me, boys.
Oh, holy shit, I forgot about that.
But no, it's going good. I mean, I'm not really doing anything. I'm unemployed at the moment, so...
Yeah, I'm gonna be trying my hand at hosting. Can't be worse than when I was doing the 1 versus 100s. I needed like 3 takes to get the intro down, so we're gonna try to go 1 for 1 today.
I'm definitely not hosting, I'll tell you that for free. Yeah, Rab's on holiday, right? For like 2
Yeah.
weeks. That's why we didn't have one last week. Well, there were more reasons, but that was the main reason. He wasn't here last week to carry us.
All right, gotta bring that up.
It's funny because he's on holiday, but he's still double uploading. He's probably double uploading on the Valorant channel too. Jesus.
Bro, he brought his laptop with him so he could post.
He's a beast, bro. His Valorant page must be going off. Cause it's Rostermania.
Yeah.
Valorant news. Yeah, that's going crazy. 62k views 9 hours ago.
Yeah, and then some news just broke too on that side. Yeah, he's going to Cloud9.
Is he? I don't know who he is, but I know he's like the top dog in Valorant, right?
Yeah, he's probably the best player right now. And Cloud9's like revamping their team. And George just reported it.
Bro, George he's a beast, bro. He's an absolute beast. Do you know he didn't get nominated for Esports Journalist of the Year?
They did at the end.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
They did like yesterday they ended up adding him, but it's like, bro, why was he not in there first? Like he was like, I mean, I might be biased because I'm kind of friends with him, but
I mean, they kind of fucked them because they added them after the voting already started. So like people already like voted for stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But I think he might not win, but shit.
Yeah, it doesn't say who C9's also going to be picking up. Right now, it's going to be Leaf, Zeppa, and Vanity with Yay. And you'd probably think one of the other like ex OpTic members would go there too.
How many people on the Valorant team? Is it 5?
Yeah, 5. So, but like all the orgs inside and outside of the franchising are like doing like, I don't really understand how they're going to do that because all the players outside are just like restricted free agents now. So they still have to have a buyout. So it's really weird. And then I don't like this whole next year, you're just going to be like, let's say like OpTic and FaZe and like Xset and the guard, like they're just going to be doing like the basically like challengers if they stay in. And then whoever wins that, I think it's one or two teams, whoever like wins the play-in for next year becomes a pro team for 2 years. So
how long do they have to wait?
End of next year. Yeah.
Jesus.
But you have to win it.
I would love to know how much money this Yay guy's worth. How much the buyout is.
Oh, they probably made bank. Both two of them. It kind of sucks for OpTic because two of their players were free agents, so they're not going to get a buyout on them. I believe it's Victor and Crashies, so like two of their better players, and then Yay, FNS, and I'm forgetting the other guy. Who am I forgetting, chat? Yay, FNS, and damn, I can't remember. But no, Victor's a free agent. Victor and Crashies are free agents. FNS, Yay, and Marved are restricted. So they're probably gonna make pretty decent money off. I would assume they're gonna make like probably like half, like 250K off of Yay. Probably like Marved would probably be pretty decent too. But the problem is like it's weird because like FaZe, for instance, because I've been like trying to like watch to see what they do. Like 3 of their players got announced as restricted free agents, like Flya, Superman, and like one other. But like Baby Bay is still on the roster and he hasn't said anything. Like, so like, does that mean FaZe is gonna stay in and like try to?
Nice Lakers hoodie. Yeah, I'm a Bulls fan, but I love Lakers too.
All right. Okay.
Did it flop?
So.
Do I need to comment on some shit?
You should
Not much happening,
do some at least do some channel point bets for how bad I'm gonna fuck up this intro.
Nah, you got it, bro. You got it.
Fair warning, it's not gonna be as smooth as Rab's like 0. The man just goes full robot there. No, I'm not starting with all right guys, because that's gotta be a Rab. That's all Rab.
He's trademarked that.
Yes. I can start with a what's up guys. But I feel like I would not do it justice. Alright. Just let me know when we should start and I'll run it up.
Then we're good. Yeah, I'm good. My bad. I was just tweeting.
All right, give me a countdown, and then I'll start it.
3, 2, 1.
What's up, guys? Back again with the Breaking Point podcast. Today we don't have any Rab or Lion, so we'll be hosting it with me, Easy Mac, and Crone. We're live on YouTube and Twitch right now. We'll be available on YouTube and Twitch for VODs and any audio platforms after the episode's done. So today we're doing this up, Crone. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. It's been 2 weeks since we had one. A lot happened in 2 weeks, bro. We got some announcements. I think we got some more teams confirmed they haven't announced yet. We obviously had the beta for 2 weekends. Crimsix retired. Holy crap! There was a lot happened in 2 weeks. It's funny that the one time we missed is when like things started happening. Because before that we were struggling for topics, and it's like as soon as things start happening, Rab goes on holiday, and you know he's not allowed to go on holiday. He doesn't have time for that.
I know, man. What? He's supposed to be working 24/7. There's no holidays in esports.
Exactly. Even though he's still uploading on all 7 of his YouTube channels twice a day and all that juicy stuff.
I know, man. He's still going nonstop.
Hopefully he's back. He's back next week, right? I think he said 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. He'll be back this week. So next week we'll be all systems go. But for this week, I guess we have so much to talk about that's happened in the last 2 weeks. I think we're gonna start with. Yeah, we're gonna start with crimsix retiring. He called it a career. I believe it was about a week ago. He put out a really good video. He talked about a lot of stuff. He's gonna be pursuing content creation. It seems like at this point, but it's really sad to see one of the OGs leave. I know he didn't really have too many opportunities going into this year, but I personally I wish he would have stayed around and tried to give it a shot for staying active at the beginning of the game, playing S&D tournaments, playing eights until maybe after the first major or second major is done. Just because I know how teams roll, like 1-2 bad results, they're going to want to switch teams right away. They're going to want to like try to find like a new component to make that team overhauled. And I think he would have been probably one of the first players that they would have called upon. So seeing him back out, retire this early, it really sucks. But in all honesty, now the way I'm trying to like look at it is now like he doesn't have the threat of being fined on him, so he can just go as rogue as he wants to. So I'm actually kind of interested to see like where his career goes after this, like how strong of a player he's going to be on content creation. Is he going to be trying to go down like the Zuma route where he's trying to do like CDL content? Is he going to be doing Warzone? What do you think, Crone?
I mean, it sucks to see him go, man. I was really hoping that maybe one of the last teams to form would look at him, maybe like a Vegas or even a Mutineers. But it looks like to me like he didn't really. He even said himself that I think his agent reached out to all teams and none of them wanted to buy him at all, which is it's sad, man. It's sad to go out like that, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm happy. I'm happy that Clayster's still in. I love that. You know, it would have sucked if we lost both of them at once. But I remember reading that. You know, we lost crimsix this year. We lost. Who was the last year they retired? Oh, Formal. And the year before we lost Karma. And then, if the pattern continues, we're probably going to lose Scump next year, which is going to be even more of a hit to us. But
yeah, we're getting to the point.
Yeah, bro, we're getting to the point where it's like all the veterans, like there's not that many veterans left, bro. Like it's like what Scump, I mean Methods, I guess TJ, Clayster,
Tatch.
yeah, Tatch. Like there's really not that many. Like I would love to see I might actually count like the amount of pros that came in the CDL and the amount that are from the CDL all before. Like I feel like it's got to be close to 50-50 soon. If not this year, then next year.
It's getting up there now. A lot of players been coming in. Either like Black Ops 4 was like the last like wave of CWL, right? So like that's like the Skies, the Awakening was Modern Warfare. Yeah, so we're getting up to the point where there's actually a lot of like CDL players now. One interesting thing I saw when he retired, obviously in the video that he made, he was talking about how like he didn't think it was all worth it in the end when he looks at it now. He said it was just a number to put in his Twitter bio, and I saw the comments that Octane made about it, and I listened to him talk about it. I kind of agreed with what Octane was saying. Like obviously, like there's a lot more that comes with it. It's not just a number of championships that you won. It's you got to be proud of the career you've had. You got to like motivate other players to like reach your level in the future. I didn't know how did you feel about that? Like personally, I thought it was a little bit weird, but honestly, I thought like he was just kind of like probably a little bit of emotional, just kind of like was kind of like pissed off too, and like was at a point right now where he's not fully like thinking about his achievements. It's more like next steps. So like he kind of like disregarded it. I don't know how you felt about that.
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit just the emotional side. I think once he's found himself within the content creation world, I think he'll look back and be like, nah, like I did some shit. Like bro, that's the GOAT. Like if he's not the GOAT, if you don't think he's the GOAT, then he's clearly the second or third. I think second at bare minimum. Like he did so much in his career. It's crazy to me. To win 3 chips is huge, and then to win another like 35 tournaments is insane. Like I know some of the tournaments back in the day were whatever, but even in the CWL era, in the CDL era, he was the dude's a legend, bro, and he's done so much for young talent, especially in the CDL. He just did some incredible things, bro, and I don't think he should be saying things like that. But so he's obviously probably a little bit emotional, and obviously he doesn't want to retire. It's sad that it's a forced retirement. It's not something that he actually wants to do, and I think that's what he's struggling with right now because no team wanted him. That's why he's not in the league. If the team wanted him, he would be in the league. So it's kind of like a forced retirement.
Yeah, and that's why I think like he was belittling it himself. But in all honesty, like what he's done over his career, it's been what, like at least like 12 years. It is crazy. Like he has
Yeah,
one of the
insane.
like some of the OGs just have this crazy service record of like how long they've been there, how many tournament wins, how many like records they have. So I hope down the line, once it's finally like kicked in, like where and his career starts kicking off in content, because it will kick off in content eventually, he'll look back at that and just be like it was just an emotional comment. But overall, like I felt it sucks to see him go, but I'm kind of happy to see where he goes next. And as long as he's still like latched onto the CDL in some way, whether that's content creation, whether that's like being able to like make videos with other orgs, join a CDL org, even though he said in the past he doesn't want to do that. I just hope he has something to latch onto the CDL in the future so he doesn't just disappear completely. But it seems like it came down to the last franchise spot was Las Vegas for the main AR spot, and it seems that Clayster has potentially picked up that spot. I know a lot of people have been talking about the Las Vegas roster and what it could be. How do you think about the rumors that have been coming up the last couple of weeks with obviously Temp, TJ, Clay, and I don't even know who is
Prolu.
it? Prolu. So what did you think about the rumors? How do you think about that Las Vegas roster? How do you think they will perform this next year?
I don't mind it if I'm being honest. Like you obviously, like every year you have to look at the Paris team and it's like, okay, who was actually left for them to pick? Like there really isn't that much. And I think we discussed this multiple times. It's like Gunless was left over. I think at the time we were saying the same, but he looks like he's probably going to London. But I think for what was left over, like, and you got to think that team is building a team that he wants. It's the players that he wants to play with. I guess you could kind of say it's a friendship or whatever, but I think it's a good team, and I put out the odds today that Bet365 put out, and they're not even last. Florida is last, which I thought was mind blowing because I like this Mutineers roster, and I think it might shock some people. I'm not saying they're gonna win an event, but I think they will be a good team, and I think they will upset a lot of good teams as well. Because I mean, those players are nasty, man. I don't know how you think about the Florida Mutineers, but back to Legion, what we were talking about. I like the team. I like the team. I do. I was a little bit iffy about who their fourth was going to be. I think at first, like the very first rumor I said was like Venom, and then we were trying to discuss who else was out there for SMG role. Like, Asim was one. I think there were a few others. I can't remember who. And I did
Capsule,
see, yeah, Cap
TJ.
was another one. Yeah, Cap. And I saw a lot of people on Twitter and Reddit say why they're picking up so many ARs. But Prolu was a SM. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Prolu was a SMG player in Cold War, and he was disgusting. He was really good. But I think a lot of people don't follow challenges, so they just assume from watching the OpTic matches that okay, he's a flex player, he's an AR player, but he's not. He's traditionally a SMG player. And same with TJ.
Yeah.
I know TJ's a little bit older, and people like to switch to the AR role once they get older, or the flex role, or whatever. And he was kind of forced into that role, to be honest. But he's been an SMG like 90% of his career. So they do have two SMG players. I know both of them have used ARs though, but I think they'll be good. I think they'll be good. And with Clayster's leadership, obviously it's almost second to none. He's got some of the best leadership in the CDL.
Yeah,
And the
this
team,
roster
yeah,
kind of reminds me of like LEG's history, where it's more on the veteran side, less on like the rookies. So like
yeah,
when you're a bottom team, you really have to think about roster construction a different way compared to the top teams. It's the same way in like traditional sports, like over football and over in Europe. Like you have to think about it differently for when you are roster building, when you don't have the assets to get everyone that you want to. Like we saw Temp talk about, or you said like this is who Temp wants to play with. It's who Temp wants to play with that they can get. Like, because he,
yeah,
you listen to him talk about with Zuma on his stream about hitting up other players, what messages he was sending. So it's really hard for Vegas because first off, like you've had 3 poor seasons now, so you're not able to like attract all the players you want to, and there's obviously been rumors that they're not paying out as much as other teams are, which is fine. There's still ways to build good teams around that. Many teams in the past 3 years have been built that don't spend as much as the top teams and have done really, really well. It's really hard for the public to know that without seeing, how, salary players are getting, but it is more than doable. So that's the problem with Vegas. You have to have a good year, be able to build that up, and then next year will be a little bit easier. I think this roster reminds me more of like LEG with more like the veteran leadership, which the risk that they're taking here is that you need your vets to rebound. I think TJ played well last year, but you're gonna need him to play at that level and even better. You have Clay, who struggled last year pretty much, right off the rip. So he's gonna have to have a bounce back year. You're banking on these guys and ProLoot having a really good year to be able to compete. You can either go down that route, you can go down a rookie route, or you go down the route that the Florida Mutineers went down. And I actually kind of like what Florida did. If you're not able to attract, premier level talent, you have to pick some game modes that you can like lock in. And the easiest way to go about that is probably S&D. There's 2 S&Ds in every series. Everyone knows this. Map 5 is S&D. It's an easy way to build a roster that can still compete against the best teams because you're a threat to win 2 and 5. You just have to win one of the respawns. So I think this Florida Mutineers roster that has now been announced will be better than what people are saying. I've seen a lot of people say like this is this going to be an atrocious team. Personally, I think they're going to be better than what people think. I think Havoc, Vickle, and Major are really good S&D players. And I think Brack overall is just like that slaying type of player that will help them in respawns. I think Major is going to be a very, very, very good IGL for these 3 other players. I think Vickle, when we were doing our top 20 challengers players, I know a lot of people didn't agree with it, but when we were talking to the coaches, so we had multiple coaches that were on. They were the coaches of the top. I'll say, because I don't want to publicly say their names unless they want to. They were coaches on each of them were on the top 4 challengers teams or top 5.
Yeah.
So they had really good input on the players and who they thought had strengths and weaknesses. And there was a legitimate conversation for whether to put Vickle or Scrappy number 1. And I thought that was amazing because
Was
from the
Vickle
outside
2?
looking in,
Was he 2?
yeah, Vickle was number
Yeah.
2. Obviously, we went with Scrappy number 1. Scrappy had a phenomenal season. He was crazy. But just the fact that people had to ask, like, should Vickle be in that conversation for number 1 was really surprising to me, considering in Cold War when I was covering, the elite side, he was over in Spain, and that team was good, not great. Like they were in the top side of the European side, but they weren't like competing for winning tournaments and stuff. They were just a good team that could knock off some of the top like European teams. And so to see him take that step was amazing. And honestly, I think like he's key to having a great season for Florida. His next breakthrough year, like breakthrough step, is really key for them. And I think he can be a really good SMG for this roster. So I don't think people should be counting them out. I don't think this team will be considered a top 4 team. But I think they can be a very good middle of the pack team that is really strong in S&D that can knock off the top teams above them. What do you think? Where do you put their ceiling at, or their floor?
The ceiling, I would say their ceiling. I could see them being I could honestly see them being a top 6, top 5 team. I don't know about any higher than that. I don't know. It's hard to judge right now. When you're just judging off names on papers, like we don't know. We haven't seen anything from any teams at the moment. But I pretty much agree with everything you said, bro. Like, I think for me, Vico and Brack are like the 2 players that I think are most important to this team. We know what we're going to get from Major Maniac. We know he's going to be a leader. We know his S&D is crazy. Havoc is just the same as Major Maniac. They're both basically veterans at this point. But I think those 2 new players, I know Brack's not a rookie. He didn't play, but he was on a roster in Modern Warfare. But I think those 2 they're a huge key, and especially Brack, because I'm not sold on Brack, I'll be honest. But I did not watch that much challenges last year. Did he win champs? Was that his team?
Yes. Yep.
So he won champs. So it's good to see that a champs player got picked up. Because last year, did we have a champs player get picked up? It was a ProLoot Saints.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, because
Mohawk, and I forgot the other one. Was it Hamza? No, it wasn't Hamza. But no, I don't think any team that won Challenger Champs last year even got picked up, which is crazy. I mean, ProLoot got picked up during the season, so it's alright.
Yeah.
But no, I think.
Oh yeah, it was Spart. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
Spart. That's right.
Yes, Spart.
Oh,
so yeah, he did end up getting picked up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think they have a higher ceiling than people are giving them credit for.
I agree.
And you're right, Lord Josh. He did win the Stage 5 Elite last season. But for the majority of the season, I think they were called Mavericks, right? That Mavericks team was like hit or miss. They were kind of like how the Spanish teams were this season. So to see him come over and actually like really excel in the NA scene, not only excel but pretty much win out, and besides champs, but have just a terrific season, was really shocking for me to see like that growth happen so quickly. So that team, honestly, I'm expecting a little bit more than what people are saying right now. But there's another team that just got announced that had one new signing this season, and that's going to be Boston with Awakening. Awakening just got picked up by Boston to be their flex player. He's going to be replacing TJ. The remainder of the roster is going to be the same core from last season. It's going to be Vivid, Neuro, and Methods. And so that roster honestly looks pretty good to me. I've always rated Awakening very high. I think he's one of the best like slayers in the league. He has tremendous gun skill. Personally, I thought the system that they had over in Florida just wasn't working for them at the end of the year. They were so like hit or miss because it was so dependent on their players performing at the level they like at a high level, and when they weren't hitting their shots, when they weren't clicking, sometimes their system let them down, and that's a risk that you have to take as a team that is on the middle of the midfield. So I felt like a good change of scenery was going to be good for him. I wasn't really sure where he was going to land. I know at the beginning of the offseason we were talking about, this is a good landing spot for either him, Gunless, maybe even an amateur player. So to see him get this opportunity, I think this is a good roster for him to slot into. I think Boston has a high ceiling, but also could be on the lower floor end of it too. Because I honestly think the midfield is going to be pretty packed this next season. What did you think about it? Was there any other options for Awakening, or was this his best option that he had going into this next season?
I'm not sure on his other options. I would assume there were probably a few teams that reached out to him. Like his talent is incredible. I think he just needs the right structure around him. And I think that's people have always said that about Florida. They're kind of just like, who the fuck knows if they're gonna win or lose? Like they just I don't know if that's a coaching thing or just I don't know. But I'm happy for Awakening. And then the team got better, bro. The Boston Breach. Like you replace TJ with Awakening, like that's an upgrade, bro. And they finished 6th last year on the standings. I can't remember where they placed at champs.
Yeah,
but
I like they were 6 both ways.
I like it. I would have liked to see more changes. I think they needed more changes, but I guess that I know they tried to get like Slasher. They probably inquired about a lot of other players, and I guess those other players just went to other teams, so they couldn't really do much. And I think when they came down to clayster versus Methods, I don't think that really makes a difference in the end, or who's there and who's not. I think they're still going to be roughly the same. But having one thing you didn't mention was Beans on their bench. They're signed Beans as a substitute. That dude, I think, was considered the number one player in EU last year. If not him, then probably Wardy, I think.
Wardy, yeah.
Yeah. So Beans played, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, he played SMG at the start of last year in challenges, and he switched to a flex role. So he can do both, but obviously they're picking him up on in case they need to replace, I would probably say Methods, if anyone. But I guess he can play the SMG too, so I don't know if something happens with the 2 SMG players on Breach, he can come in. But I hope, I hope no one gets dropped on the team, but at the same time, I probably want Beans to make a debut as well, because the things that I saw that dude, like I think you said it last year. What was his our last podcast? Or might have been Wardy. What was his stats
Wardy,
in champs? Yeah, like
he had 1.3 at champs. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But
I was 100%.
Beans is still nasty.
I was 100% expecting both of them to get picked up by either Boston, Florida.
Bro, everyone thought they would go to London. It's like, and I say this every time I talk about the team. Like, why is it not those two and plus 2 of the nasty and Nero? I'll never understand it. Hopefully one day someone explains it. Maybe it's a money thing, or they think there's more chances outside of Ravens. I don't know. I don't know, but I'm excited for both those players to make their debut. Hopefully one day. Like I said, I hope no one gets benched, but at the end of the day, what happens.
Yeah, I thought it was a really smart pickup. It's the same thing as like New York with the rumored getting Wardy. I'm honestly pretty shocked that both of those players are not getting starting spots.
Yeah,
especially after
insane. I can't believe it too.
But I do like what the teams are doing. So I've always said like you have to look at your roster. You have to identify the weaknesses, and the faster you identify your weaknesses and find the best candidates that could fulfill that spot during the season, the better off you're going to be. We saw that especially in Cold War. Cold War teams were not identifying their weaknesses fast enough, and by the time they did, the best players were already getting picked up. So it was really hard for them to find that player to be plugged into their roster. What I do like that New York and Boston are doing potentially, I know the New York one is more of a rumor, so I'm not saying that's confirmed or not. I honestly don't know. On the Bean side, though, that was, I think, confirmed. Was it?
Yeah, they announced it.
Yeah. So I personally like that a lot. They're saying like, look, we might need some AR help, or we might need a flex player that could go be both roles. But Beans, from what I've watched this year, was a really really solid AR player. He was really good in S&D too. So he's gonna be a terrific asset to have on your bench in case anything goes wrong. Boston is also one of the few teams that has an academy team. Currently, I believe it's going to be
Shawnee,
or is it
Beans,
Ghosty?
Valence. Nah, it's Valence,
Volance?
Shawnee, Beans. Who's the
Sensor.
yeah, and Sensor, sorry, yeah. I think that's the current one, but I they will change before the season starts, probably.
Yeah. So I did see like someone was putting out the challengers rosters that are already formed for next year, and I'm pretty sure it was either I think it was Volance, Shawnee, Beans, and Sensor. So it's nice that he'll be able to come over here. He'll be able to get reps in the NA scene, and then as soon as like Boston either needs a change or another team needs a change, they're gonna be able to get him quickly. Like that's something where I've been saying that like EU players, APOC players, the best opportunity you have to get into the league is to play over in the NA circuit, because as soon as a team needs like help, needs something, they're going to be looking for the fastest possible fix. And with how visas are working right now and how everything else, it's easier just to get an NA player or someone who's in NA. So that's why I think like Wardy and Beans being as a substitute, being over here, playing in the challenger side over here is going to help them tremendously. Like they're going to have an opportunity 100% this next season, just based off how they played this last year and years prior. These guys are going to be studs, and I'm actually really excited to see, how they perform in the challenger side.
Yeah, I mean, if you're you go, carry on.
The other team that we alluded to obviously is in London. London opted not to go for these guys. There's rumors going around about their current roster. Do you have any news on that side, or do you care to comment about the rumors that have been coming out about them?
I mean, it's just Nasty, Zero, Asim, and Paulix, which is kind of, I mean, we expected 3 of those. I think others expected Gizmo, but I mean, role-wise, that doesn't work at all if they get Paulix, unless Zero changes to SMG. But I don't know how I feel about this roster. I'm happy there seems in the league and Paulix get a spot, but it's like, I don't know. I actually think this team is, for me, probably going to be worse than Mutineers. I don't know about you. But I don't know. I don't know what to think about this team, and I'm not big. I'm with you. Like I'm not big on like mixing teams, but I do like seeing it. But like I just don't feel like that it works most of the time. Like I feel like 9 times out of 10 it hasn't really worked. Excuse me. What I don't know. What are your thoughts on this team?
It's interesting. I asked Rab about this the last podcast I was on. Like, as someone from England, do you want the London team to be all English? Do you want it to be all European? Personally, as the only European team in the CDL currently, after Paris switched over to Las Vegas, like I don't know. I would, as a fan of the CDL, I would rather that team be full, European, full English.
Yeah.
There's so many good prospects over on the English side, over on the European side, that I don't think it would be hard to build that team. But obviously, I don't know the ins and outs of who they hit up, what rosters they were going for. I don't necessarily hate the roster they came up with. I know Pollux and their coach Dom over in for London have a close relationship.
They're good players, definitely good players. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm a little bit iffy on it. I feel like they, like you said, they should have been full Euro. Or at least 3, you know what I mean?
Yeah, do like the Minnesota, the Toronto, there was a roster coming out of like Florida that was rumored that was 3-1. But I still think they can be good. Nasty was the #1 prospect on our rankings that we did 2 years ago. I still think he's crazy. I think last year
I agree, bro. I agree. A lot of people, they're putting him down, bro. But I'm like, nah. I think give him one more chance to prove that because he was ranked like #1 in Cold War and in
I think like #2 in Modern Warfare.
Yeah, like he's meant to be that guy from Europe. Is from Europe, so I think I'm with you. I still want to give him another chance, and I think he's still got a high ceiling.
Yeah, like I feel like last year he had a decent year. It was a decent rookie year. He had some moments, Like this year has to be his year to step up and be that star for that team. I honestly think he can be. I think Zero is a good leader. He should be getting more credit than people put up for to give him. I think he had an okay year last year. He had his highs, but he had his lows. I think if he gets a little bit more consistent, he'll be good. Paul, if Paul can, like Paul always, I feel like in most rosters he starts off pretty strong, but then he kind of fades. If he can stay up on that high level that we see him at the start of rosters, and when he gets on land, he performs at that level, he could be that slayer that this team needs. And like I'm pretty biased when we talk about Asim. That's why I try not to, talk about it too much. I think he's a good player in this roster if Nasty is slaying at a high level, because I'm assuming that Nasty's going to be staying on the SMG. So I think if Nasty's that slayer, then Asim can work with him in this roster and be a good duo. But personally, I just would have loved a full English roster. Like I feel like that would have been really, really good for the league, having only one European team now. So I hope at least the substitute that they get is from EU. Personally, I really, really, really hope we get Maddie Scraps back over in the Challenger circuit in NA and competing.
Well, funny you say that because I have a clip that I didn't post, but he actually said that on stream.
Ooh.
He didn't say he was moving to NA, but he said he's going on a flight and getting out of the Europe scene. So I assume that's what it means. I might post it later. I don't know. It's kind of like it's not the best clip. But yeah, I would love to see Scrappy on here, bro, especially on a sub role. But I know that he is. I don't know if this ever came out, but I think they have him and the franchise had a little issue. I think they had to go to court or something like that. There was an issue with the money that was owed or something to do with money, obviously. So I don't know if they've ironed that out and if they would take him back and he would sign there. I'm sure he would sign there in a heartbeat, but I would love to see that, bro. I would love to see Scrappy.
I really hope so.
Yeah,
personally, yeah, I thought it was kind of a mistake last season for Paris to not bring back Scraps, because I thought he was a very good player for them in Cold War. It was kind of like reminiscent of how Temp played this year for Paris. Like I thought Maddie played not at that same like level, but I thought Maddie was a very good player for them. And he would have brought some stability going into this season if they had him and Temp and then built around that. So I hope he's back in the league. A lot of people are rooting for Wuskin to get back in the league too. I just hope that both of those players come over to the NA market, play in the elite, the challenger circuit, because that would put a good spotlight on the challengers as well. And those guys are really big personalities. So the more big personalities we have in that scene is going to be the better for everyone. But the big thing that's been happening this past week has been the Modern Warfare 2 beta. Obviously, a lot of people have been playing that. I've been seeing a lot of clips being posted. I've been watching a couple of streams here or there. Personally, I did not play it. I did not.
Bro, I played it every day.
I don't play it because what are you gonna do now for after the beta is done for the next like 3 weeks, right?
Bro,
like
that's what I'm saying. Like I think I'll probably play Overwatch 2. Like, gee, I don't know what I'm gonna do because I don't want to play Vanguard. I'm past that. I'm past Vanguard, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. But no, I played it a lot, and I honestly like. I guess we'll talk about how we feel about the game, but the game for me, like, this is what I expected out of the game. Like, this is literally I expected a Modern Warfare 2019 reskin. That's what it is. I'm not surprised by that at all. I honestly, this is probably a hot take, but I think the base of the game is good. Like, I think like the very, very base of the game is good. I think the maps are good. It looks good. Like, aside from all the bullshit, like I feel like it can play good. But there's just a large list of really, really important things that just like bring it all the way down. And I was so many times I was just raging because it's like someone was killing me because something's true. Like they sound hole me, or they're sitting in a corner. I can't see nameplates, or there's no red dots, so I don't know what the fuck's going on the map. But man, I still think that we're gonna have a good season this year. We're gonna have red dots on the map. It's not confirmed, but I mean let's just assume that we are. The time to kill I know is a little bit iffy. I'm not sure if it's like it's the time to kill issue. I watched a little bit of Exclusive Ace video, but he kind of alluded that it wasn't the time to kill. It was more like the bullet ridge was like really good, or like at times not good.
The Super Bullets are back.
Yeah.
Modern Warfare.
Yeah, I do. I remember that. That was crazy. But yeah, I still think we're gonna have a good year. Like we take away all the bullshit from pubs and all that dumb shit that no one likes apart from casuals, and I do think it'll be a good game to play. I think the maps are better than Modern Warfare. Obviously, they're better than Vanguard. We've only seen 4. I don't know how many of them will make it to the rotation. I don't know what you think about those, but I think 3 out of 4 of them I think are pretty good for competitive. But nah, like I said, like the base of the game is good. I just hope the footsteps is another issue. Like the footsteps are like, I don't know if you guys play Black Ops 3, but awareness in Black Ops 3, that's what it sounds like you have this entire game. Like it's so loud, bro. Like you can hear someone stomping from East Africa. It's like, what the hell is going on? I don't get it. I don't get it. But from what you saw, what do you think?
So it reminds me a lot of when Modern Warfare 2019 was out. If you go back and watch a lot of the players' clips about how they talk about it, they always say like the gunplay was phenomenal. Like they loved the gunplay. They loved a lot of like the movement. That's why like they a lot of players still like Warzone because the movement's the same. The gunplay is really good. It's just a lot of like the other stuff that makes the game. Like the core can be good, but what surrounds it is what really like matters. So I've seen people talk about how the gunplay is still good. I'm a little bit nervous about obviously the dead silence, where you have to pull up your little handy dandy gadget and press a button
Bro,
that
you
makes
gotta you
a
gotta
fire
ring up
alarm.
you gotta ring up Foot
Uh,
Locker and ask for some sneakers and gee, bro, it's like why? I feel like I should have said this before, but I feel like it's such a reskin of Modern Warfare that they're just doing shit to make it look like it's not the same game. Like it's like they're just doing shit for no reason. Like even like calling out a UAV, the dude has to pull up his cell phone and ring the astronauts, and it's like, bro, why? Like back in BO3, he just literally just tapped his watch and you carry on sprinting. But now they got to pull out an iPad and shit. It's like, why? What's the point in it?
they're just adding so much stuff. I don't know. Like, look, I've been probably one of the most like positive people around it because I keep thinking like, look, this is a 3-year dev cycle. I'm pretty sure this is gonna be the longest the game's been produced in a minute. Like
Yeah,
this is the longest it's been for a minute. The alpha was done pretty early. Players were tweeting out they were testing it. I was like trying to be as positive as I can be, especially after the last couple of years have just not been my favorite brand of Call of Duty. I'll just leave it at that. It's like it's not my favorite. Could be other people's favorites. I know some people have liked it. Personally, I liked Cold War, but I was just really hoping this was going to be a good game. I heard a lot of good things about the maps coming in. So honestly, like it's a beta. I'm gonna try to remind myself as much as I can that it's a beta. That's the reason why I don't play the betas because now everyone's just doing it to themselves. Now everyone's just gonna be waiting for the next game to come out, or they're overreacting. So
yeah.
like, there's only two ways to go about it, and I don't want to do that. So that's why I stay away from it. I had zero interest in like trying to like watching it or playing it too much. So that's why I stayed away from it. But I know a lot of people have been freaking out. I wanted to touch on this. A lot of people have been freaking out about how in Hardpoint there was a lot of hard points. So if you
That'll be
remember
good. It'll be fun.
in yeah, I remember in Modern Warfare 2019 there was something like 20 something hard points I think
Yeah, bro,
originally per
20.
map,
It's
and it was
crazy.
just ridiculous.
The
The
saddest
thought
thing is
process around that.
they didn't even give us hardpoint on launch, bro. Like the
I know.
number one mode in the CDL, and it wasn't even on launch. It's like that's when I was started to losing faith right there with Infinity Ward. I was like, bro, what?
Yeah, like I had a little panic attack because, bro, like setting up for 20 different hard points is just ridiculous. But I honestly want to calm everyone's nerves about that because I haven't seen a lot of people talk about this. But like, I honestly think it's a really good thing that there was 8 hard points originally because this gives them more data to figure out which hard points are actually good.
Yeah,
Because if you only have 5 hard points, yeah, you can say like those are going to be the 5 hard points for the season. But what if there was a better position for one? And if you think there could be, this is the time to test it, see how the spawns are, see how players are liking it. So
yeah.
ideally, what players should be doing is telling them what 5 of the 8 hard points they actually like which 5 play the best.
It's like
Because,
Crossroads. Like we changed
yeah,
Crossroads 3 times in that season. But if it was in the beta and it had 7, we could have known what the best one was. So it's
yeah.
not bad, but people still think they've been a little bit lazy.
Like I think I don't think it's lazy. If they're doing it for the right reason, which I think it is, if they're doing it
Yeah,
to test out which hard points are the best, test out certain spawns, it's very good. That's what the beta should be for. They're not releasing the game. This was not a release. This is a beta. This is to fix issues to test out certain things to see how players like the game, and then be able to make those changes. So if that's how they're doing that, if it's they're actually going back down the 5 and that's how they're testing it with 8, then I'm fine with it. I actually want that. I want them to find out which 5 hills are the best, because sometimes you're not gonna be able to find that in private testing. You need players to figure that out, to play that a lot. So look, I'm not too high. I've seen some stuff that's concerned me a little bit. I'm a little bit nervous. I want to see how the game fully launches. But honestly, I think the maps are going to be a big positive this season. I think the maps coming in for season 2 or like year 2 are going to be really good. So I'm less concerned about maps. I'm more just concerned about everything else around it. You know, the perk system. I don't know why we need field upgrades, but we have field upgrades. So I'm worried about that. I'm worried about the
with the perk
72
system,
attachments we have.
Oh, bro, I'm over that. But the perk system is a good point. Like, sorry to butt in, but
oh no,
I'm wondering if they can turn off, or if they give us an option to like turn off, because for the game you get your first 2 perks when you first spawn in, and then you have to earn the rest from either time or like I think score helps. But in the tier 4 perk, tier 3, there is no perk that can be used in the CDL. Like it's all like, Ghost and things like that. So we don't need that. But in the tier 2 one, I think it's Fast Hands would probably use Cold Blooded and Spotter, which is the engineer. I don't know if they'll GA it or what. Depends if we use trophies, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if they can turn off like the wait to get that, to earn that perk. I hope they can, because yeah, you have to. Because I got access to the custom games, and that was what I was looking for. But I did not see it in there at all. I couldn't find it. I looked like 10 times, but I didn't see it. But I'm hoping they do, because you need fast hands right off the rip. You need cold blooded when someone has streaks, and things like that. But
Yeah,
I think they will. I think they will.
Speaking of cold blooded, how did you think of the smokes? So I didn't really play the game too much. The only time I really saw the clip of the smokes was like when you put down like the line and they all drop the smokes in the line.
That won't be. That's cool though. That's cool, but I don't think it'll be. I think it's too much smoke.
Do you?
I think it is. I think it's too much. Like the clip that you probably saw was the one that was on Museum. Like that map is probably the biggest map. You do that on a map like Farm 18. I don't know if Farm 18 will be in the rotation or not, but that's a way smaller map. You're cutting off. You can cut off the entire street on that thing. So I don't know. It is cool though. Like it is cool, and I hope they do look at it. But I feel like pro players are gonna be like, nah, it's too much. And on smokes, I did have an issue on smokes, and I tweeted out a clip about this. I wasn't sure if it was a kill cam like glitch, but I had a death when I was looking through a smoke. It was actually a stun smoke or a flash smoke. It wasn't even actual smoke. I couldn't see through it, but when I died, I looked at the kill cam and the guy could directly see me and he killed me straight away. So I'm hoping that we don't have to deal with that. Obviously I didn't test it myself with like in custom games. It was just a kill cam test. But I hope that we don't. I don't know how long we have to deal with like smokes not being done properly. It's like what are you doing? Like, can you just like do them normally? Like fix them? Like, gee, well, how many years has it been since Modern Warfare? They were GA last year.
Yeah.
Cold War, did we use them the entire year, or did they got GA'd eventually, right?
Honestly, I can't remember,
because I think they were one broken. Ways. Yeah, they were one ways.
There was one ways where you could like stand in it and see out of it with no smokes.
Yeah, like, I would love to see.
It's got to be an engine issue. I honestly think it's an engine issue, because the last time we had smokes, obviously Black Ops 4, they weren't even in the game in Black Ops 4.
We got it as a specialist, and it got added at like at the end.
So it was World War II, and every year since then, there's always been an issue with the smokes. I honestly think it's an engine issue. I think it's the way that the smoke is playing out in the engine, because we've had issues with Modern Warfare 2019. We had issues in Cold War. We had issues, we've had issues almost every year with the smoke grenades and one ways, and being able to see through them when you're not supposed to be able to, and disappearing for some people, not for others. It's just. It adds a lot of issues that players shouldn't be dealing with, and that the league obviously can't fix, because the league isn't Activision. So then the league has to deal with all these issues, and it just compounds. So honestly, I really hope they get fixed. One other thing I guess we can touch on, two things. One, how did you like the maps? So obviously, Museum, great map. I don't know what the F1 map is called. but I've just heard nothing but good things about that.
Yeah, but
There's
it looks like it's chalked. They're
really,
saying it's because they're assuming there hasn't been like a full report, official report, but they're assuming it's because of like it's based off a real map that I think is being played next week in F1 because it was meant to be in the
Singapore.
beta. I don't know. I'm not even gonna pretend like I know,
Yeah,
but it was meant to be
that's a
in the
nice one.
beta. And they the COD League, not the COD League, the Call of Duty page in Infinity Ward deleted every single video about the map, so it's not looking good for that map. But everyone was saying it was like the best map in the alpha, so
Yay!
I hope there's a way
Okay.
that they can just keep the same like keep the map, but just change it, like turn it into like a dirt track or like a whatever. Maybe not
Oh,
have it
that's
as an
heartbreaking
F1 map.
because I loved that map.
I know,
Damn.
yeah, I know. It looks incredible, but it's like, why would they not think about these things? Like, I thought Activision out of all people would think about these things. Like they're usually pretty onto it when it comes to like copywriting and those things like that. But I'm hoping they can just take the logos off and maybe like change a little bit, and it should be fine. I hope,
I hope
because
so.
apparently that was really good.
Outside of that, though, in Museum, was there any other maps that stood out to you? Obviously,
Um,
we had Farm 18, we had the Mercado
yeah,
Las
market.
Almas,
Yeah, I just call it
um,
market.
yeah, Market. You had the hotel map, and then you had Seraph Bay, and then you had
I liked.
Sayed.
So my tier list for pubs was probably, in terms of like how much fun I had, was probably in farm, hotel, market, probably like equal for me, and then museum to me was like so I don't like it, but I did not have fun of it. I only like maps if I have fun on it, so I'm a little bit like biased. Um, but the map's like massive, bro. Like it's huge. Like a lot of people guessing that map up, and I thought it was going to be incredible, but it might work on Hardpoint. Hardpoint was like kind of decent. But it's just like the middle area where it's just like a statue, and it's just like I feel like ARs are just gonna. It's probably like it could maybe be a 3 AR map. Farm 18, I had a lot of fun on that on pubs. I was running like the 7-4U. I didn't really use the MP5. I didn't unlock it, but I'm not sure if it would work in a competitive environment. I don't know. I don't know if that's just me. But there's like a middle bit. It's a little bit mazy. It could get a little bit mixy in there. Um, but it was fun. But I'm not sure if it'll be a competitive map. And I'm only thinking about Hardpoint and S&D right now because we don't know what the third mode is yet. We're assuming it's CTF. What
That
was the
was the
other
other
map?
thing I wanted to touch on.
Yeah, well, we can
Is
touch on that later. Yeah.
yeah, the other
And
map.
hotel,
Yeah,
hotel. I didn't like at the start, and then I figured out how to play it, and it's good. Um, I did watch S&D on it. Seems alright. I think it'll be a S&D map. Hardpoint was pretty good as well. I'm not sure about CTF though, but no, I think that'll probably be in the rotation. I think, and the last one was Market or Mikado or Masato, whatever. I watched S&D on there, and literally every single time I watched it, they just went to the building. I don't know what bomb it was. It was like where the tunnel was. So I'm not sure if there's going to be a map where it's like only one bomb site's viable. I don't know why they weren't going to the other one. So for S&D, I don't know about it. Hardpoint, I think it'll work for Hardpoint. I think this is a map where it has eight. Excuse me, it has eight hardpoints, but one of them's like a building and one's upstairs, downstairs. So obviously that's one of them's going to be gone. So that's an easy, already done to 7 already. But I think I like that map. I did like that map, but I know a lot of people 50-50 about it. But I thought it was decent. I thought it was a good map. P1 on that map is, I feel like it's going to be like Bockage P1. Like it's
no
going to
comp,
be
lots of kills.
just super mixy, bro. Super mixy, and just yeah, exactly what you said. Probably people just fighting for spawns, and that's about it.
Well,
But yeah, that's how I felt.
that sounds not bad though. And for a beta, when there was only 6 maps, I don't hate it as long as like a couple of those are useful. Personally, when I look at a map, when a map pool, we obviously need 5, 5, and 3. Like
Yeah,
that is bare minimum. I still couldn't believe we only had 4 throughout a whole season. It has to be 5, 5, 3. And personally, I don't love when there's a lot of overlap between all of them. Like I don't like when all 3 of the control maps are all or in the hardpoint rotation. I think
yeah,
there
yeah,
should be
yeah.
some maps that are just in a certain map. They're like game mode. Like I like when we have just specific S&D maps. I like when we have a specific, control map. I like when the map pool is more split up that way because honestly, I don't know about how you guys feel in the chat, but when it's something like I'll use Modern Warfare 2019 when it's something like Gunrunner, Ramaza, or like Ramaza, Gunrunner, like you know what I mean? Like I don't like that as much. I don't like it when we
I don't
stay on
think
the
anyone
same map.
does. I don't think anyone
Yeah,
likes that.
I just don't really love that. Like the series flow, like it feels like you're watching the same game, like the same map throughout the entire series. And I don't like that. It like doesn't make the viewing experience good unless the map's like legendary. Like unless the map's like fantastic and like you have to have it on everything. I would
Right.
like to see some variation because ideally when they're making these maps, I don't want them to be thinking about, oh, does this work for all 15 modes? No, I want you to know, does it work for CTF? Does it
Yeah.
work for S&D? Can we make a map that just works for S&D? And if it works for any other one, sure. Like that's how I think maps should be created with certain game modes in mind. You actually create a flow for that game mode. And so I fingers crossed, man, because I feel like if maps are really good and the gunplay stays the same kind of how like 2019 was when players actually did like that, then we could be in for a really good 2 years,
Yeah, I mean, I
whatever
think
long we have this.
out of the
So
4 maps we've seen, I think that we already have a better map pool than Modern Warfare 2019 and Vanguard. Obviously, and Vanguard is not hard to beat. There's only
yeah.
really one good map. That was Tuscan, in my opinion. But I I think we're already off to a great start in terms of like maps, because that's one thing that's always like for me is one of the most important things is maps. If you don't have good maps, like no one wants to play it, no one wants to watch it. Like, but if you have great maps, like Cold War, the map pool is. I think we had a really good map pool in Cold War.
Yeah.
Saved by the remasters, obviously by Raid. What else was there? There was like two other ones I think, but Raid
Standoff,
like yes,
Express,
and
like
Express as
that.
well.
That's what I'm talking about though. Their S&D map pool was not overlapping too much. You had
Yeah,
Express, you had
exactly.
Standoff. You and like in years past, you have to have that because then you like the triple headers of the same maps would just get so boring.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
my tangent is going to go on to our next talking point, which is possible third game modes for MW2.
Yeah,
Obviously, everyone had a little bit of a scare. We all saw
just
that
a little bit, just a
domination.
little bit.
That domination could have potentially been in there due to the rules. We saw CWL or CDL domination. Not gonna lie, my heart skipped a beat when I saw it. I
Yeah,
was a little bit worried, but it was good news ahead because I forget who responded, but someone said
Daniel,
that it.
Daniel.
Okay, yeah. So he said it wasn't going to be,
Yeah,
and now there's rumors popping up with obviously Control always be a rumor that pops up, CTF, or it could be a completely different mode. We saw Gridiron in World War II.
Oh, what a
Honestly,
throwback!
bro,
That was
I
terrible,
think
bro. Come on, that was terrible.
no.
I
When
thought
it
it
was
was
getting
terrible.
voted for the third game mode, it almost won. It was almost inputted into the pro
Jesus,
circuit.
over
It
CTF?
was it must have been CTF, right?
Yeah, it would have
But
been.
it
Yeah,
was almost put in. Like it wasn't overwhelming, but like the vote was not as like overwhelming for CTF as you would think. Um, and part of
I thought
that
that shit
is
was us. I'll be honest.
I, I didn't think it was bad, but I think it could be a creative like third game mode.
Yeah,
Because obviously everyone loves uplink, but without jetpacks, how the hell do you score a dunk with the thing not being on the floor? So like you got to get creative with it. And honestly, I thought Gridiron was pretty good for what it was. They made it so that each of the jump points, like there was like something that you could jump off to. There was like one or two things you could jump off to into the point. You could throw it still. You could pass the ball. So I thought that was creative. But the most likely one that people are saying right now is CTF.
yeah.
CTF, I'm gonna go on a little rant here. CTF and Call of Duty, people look at it through rose tinted glasses.
I'm with
CTF,
you. I'm with you.
CTF was good. It was really good in Call of Duty. Lately, though, they massacred my boy. Like they massacred CTF because the whole point of CTF, if you go watch Halo, if you go watch any other esport that's ever had CTF, you have to make a team make a decision. You have to have a team when someone is pushing up into your base, you spawn out. So you have to make a decision. Do I wrap back to my base or do I overextend? And you can't just do that as one person. The whole team has to be on the same page, right? The whole team either has to set up for an overextension or fight back for your flag. In Call of Duty, it doesn't matter if somebody's fucking touching your flag. The last couple games, bro, you spawn right on the flag still. You spawn looking at the guy trying to take your flag, and it's like that doesn't make you make a decision. That your decision
Yeah,
is okay. Now I'm in a gunfight. I have to fight this. That's not a decision. That's not what CTF is. That's not what makes CTF good. that's not that's not going to be good for COD. So if the spawns is the same, where you don't have to make a decision when you spawn up, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be how people want it. It's not going to be like Black Ops 2. It's not going to be like
Yeah,
I don't know.
we have tech sprint now. We have footsteps that you can hear from a million miles away. It's going to be a little bit different, so I think it's going to be interesting, and the spawns as well, obviously.
It's just not like people forget. Like World War II CTF was not good. It was not good viewership experience. It was not good watching people spawn up on their flags continuously. Like London Docks, I just remember spawning up watching people try to take our flag. Like, okay, I'm gonna kill you. You can't do that. Like, if it's a system where you have to make a decision, which is the basis of what makes CTF good, then it can work. I'm 100% fine with it. I want it in the game. I'm fine with it. And that's another thing. Yes, maps were bad in World War II, but also the spawn system made it so much worse for the maps. It didn't help the maps at all. So we might have good maps this year. If the spawn system is also good to go with the maps, I am 100% in on CTF. Get CTF in. But if the spawning in CTF is not good, if it's not a good spawn system for CTF, then it should not be in. Black Ops 2 CTF had a good spawn system. If I remember correctly, Black Ops 3 had a good spawn system. AW had a good spawn system. We have not had that in like 6 or 7. Like, what's that? That's like 7 years ago. So like we haven't had that in a while. So
I mean, we barely have a good spawn system overall, and like aside from Cold War, like squad spawns are just garbage, bro. Like I would love to know the reasoning behind squad spawns. Like, what is their actual reasoning? Because it's
so
just
you spawn
like,
up with a helper. So like if you spawn up, you have somebody to help you instantly.
no,
You're not pinned down in your
that's
spawn like old school CODs. Look,
catering to the Timmies. Jesus.
I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not gonna argue with IW's reasonings for stuff. I'm just gonna state like how game modes and spawn systems should be like developed for certain game modes, and like it could work because we have this thing that is rumored to be in called a map editor, which for those who play Halo, Forge, that could help this. And I did see an article that came out that said part of the Forge will be being able to critique spawns to change some of the spawns. And if that is true, fucking thank God, man. Thank God. But
Yeah, well,
that
we got
would
like
really,
we're gonna have a month to edit it though before the first
yeah.
event, so it's like we're kind of fucked either way.
But that's the thing. Like, at least it would be in, and it would help out a lot with a lot of these issues that we've had over the past couple of years. So I really do hope that's in. Look, I'm not saying I don't want CTF in. If CTF has the correct spawns, I'm all for it. If it doesn't, then we have to, evaluate what is the best third game mode that works with these maps, that works with this spawn system. So
What
I
are
don't
your
think
thoughts
anyone's.
on what are your thoughts on having 2 game modes? Hardpoint and S&D.
See, that's been a conversation in the past, and honestly, it can't work for COD just based off how roster construction is. Like right now, let's say you have 3 S&Ds, right? Well, then everyone's roster composition of how they're going to be building rosters is going to cater to S&D. It's going to be people are just going to be building these S&D powerhouses, or if you have 3 hard points, you're going to lean more to that way. The whole point of the third game mode is it balances those two out, and it adds this swing mode in that anybody could be good at, that you have to practice in. It's crucial, I think, for how Call of Duty plays as an esport, to have that third game mode be different from the other two and be that swing game mode. So there's a bunch of modes in the past. I see people saying like demolition. Honestly, I remember back in the day. I'm gonna age myself here, but sabotage, Sabo, demo. I'm fine with
Blitz and Ghost?
Blitz.
I don't even know what
Blitz
that is.
wasn't the most like I loved Ghost. Blitz wasn't the best. It probably could have been better if we had hard point instead of domination. So look, there'll be a lot of options. I just hope we don't put ourselves in a box until we know how the game's going to play, how the spawns are going to play. Obviously, we're going to have to make that decision rather quickly this year, because the CDL just came out and released the part of the schedule, right? The opening.
Most of it,
Yeah, most of it, right? So we have a early start this year, thank God. We're going to be starting in December, it said correctly. So, I'm just pumped that the CDL is starting earlier. A lot of people were a little bit freaking out because that means an earlier champs. But it doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing as long as the next season starts earlier. So I just hope
we don't have to wait for a game. I mean, assuming that we play this game 2 years in a row.
Exactly. So I just really hope that one, this first event is going to be fucking amazing, man. It's very close to when the game drops. I think it's going to be amazing for Call of Duty esports. I'm going to predict that it's going to break the viewership record that we've ever
It's
had
gonna be incredible, bro.
at a Call of Duty event.
And to have amateurs there too, it's such a incredible opportunity for amateurs, bro. Like that's where you want to get a sub spot, and that's where you prove it right there.
Exactly. So I am fucking ecstatic. I cannot wait for that. I'm not worried about a potential early champs. I'm not worried about that as long as the season starts. Like 3 months. I think is a 2-3 months max is a good timeline after that season ends to start another one. I don't like it when we're just sitting around for like 4, 5, 6 months not doing anything. I feel like that kills all momentum. So I do believe that if, let's say, the season goes until the beginning of summer, starts in the fall, like early fall, like, probably like the beginning of, if it started like a little bit earlier than now, I feel like that'd be really, really good because I think personally, viewership wise, Call of Duty is always going to struggle in the summer. It's always going to do better in the winter, the fall, spring, because everyone in the summer, it's across all esports, all streamers, everything. Viewership goes down in the summer, and that's usually pretty evident in Call of Duty. So sometimes we need to take a break. I think the summer would be perfect for that. I think starting earlier is going to be amazing for this next game. I'm honestly really, really ecstatic for that. So that's going to be something amazing for the Call of Duty scene. I just hope we take advantage of that. And if we do well, we ride that into the season. Like that's crucial to take that momentum and use it for the rest of the season, continuing making the game better, not just stagnating and being happy with one good result. Make sure we continue that throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, I love it too, bro. That's a rare CDL dub right here. Mr. Daniel comes in the clutch, but I mean, I don't want to give him too much props because we've been asking for this for I don't know how long, like literally years. But at least it's here, so I'm not going to complain. I think Major One's in Raleigh, which is weird. Like I don't know why. I don't know if that's how you say it, but that's a weird place to have it, in my opinion. I don't know.
That's an old school Call of Duty location.
Oh, is it? Okay. Because I know the London team was situated there for like 2 years, but I think they might be relocating to LA. I could be wrong. And then Major 2's in Boston, Major 3's in Texas, Major 4's in New York. Major 5, I did hear Toronto. They didn't announce it though. But I did hear it was in Toronto, which would make sense because I feel like you should have one in Toronto outside of America. And London, I'm not sure London even want to host the event at this point. Who knows? Champs, who knows? I mean, we could all just assume LA again. It's always there. Maybe they look at somewhere else though. I don't know where else. I don't know where else would be like a good place to have champs. I guess Texas again.
Personally, I don't think it should be in any location that has a franchise.
I mean, does that matter though? Because no matter where it is, even if you do it in Antarctica, it's still going to be like all OpTic fans, you know?
It's not about that though. It's okay. So like the reason why I say that is because I'm for any CDL event. So like the Pro-Am, I think should not be in a franchise location because when you look at other esports, personally my favorite's always going to be CS. When you look at CS and you say what are the best tournaments in CS? So like let's say I want to buy a ticket in 2023. What are the best tournaments in CS that I want to buy a ticket to? You're instantly going to think of like ESL Cologne. You're going to be thinking of Jesus Christ. Now I'm blanking on them, but there's a ton of like legendary CS locations that like if you're going to buy a ticket for next year, you're always going to look at those. You're always going to be looking for, the Jesus, man, I am really blanking on some of these like big ones, but
I can't help you. I don't watch CS:GO.
Draco, Cologne, Katowice. Jesus, man, I was struggling for that for a second. So I know there's a whole bunch of them, but they are there every single year. That is something that's there every single year, no matter what. Like even now, they're trying to do one in like New York and Dallas that are always there. For the CDL to have it in the franchise city, that requires the franchise to be committed to having it there every year. And a lot of the franchises you'll see, it's not going to be every single year. It might be once every 2 years. And I think having the CDL throw their events in non-franchise cities helps make like a key location that will always be there every year. Like I would be ecstatic if the Pro-Am is always in Raleigh. For those who don't know, Raleigh was actually one of the first Black Ops 2 tournaments or Black Ops 1 tournaments. It was in 2011 was in Raleigh.
11 years ago. That's crazy.
It was
I
a
didn't even-
legendary like
I
event.
didn't even know who OpTic Scump was. I didn't know about esports. I didn't even know there was esports back then. That's crazy.
Yeah,
It was a
that's
long
when,
time ago.
bro. That event was that was like Fear, with Assassin John Fizz. You had like OpTic was in that. That was when like Quantic Leverage. So you had Aches, TP, Scump Proof. You had Envy with Stainville. OpTic I think was Merc, Big T, Cap, and Rambo. But like, you're talking about it's a legendary location. That's up there with like Columbus. That's up there with Anaheim. So personally, I don't care which CDL teams throw events every year for like the majors. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with alternating them. Personally, I just think the CDL needs to pick a location for champs that isn't a CDL franchise. I don't even care. I don't even care if it's Anaheim. Like pick something that isn't a franchise, so then that location will always be able to be in the circuit.
Someone
Like,
said Philly. That's a good one, Philly.
Yeah. So I just think like we really need to do that. Like that needs to be a priority in the future. That needs to be something they lock in. So I'm good with that. I'm good with Raleigh. I think that's a very like
Or even
nod to, like,
Columbus. Columbus would be a good one because we got a lot of history in Columbus with the MLG. That'd be a cool one.
So I'm good with that. I'm good with Raleigh. I think that's gonna be a decent location. There's gonna be a lot of stuff going on. Raleigh's actually been. It was Halo. There was a CS there like years ago, but there was a lot of like stuff that has happened in Raleigh. So I'm actually excited to go there, and if they can set up a history there, that's what matters for all these tournaments. You have to start a history and then stick to it. So if they're setting up pro-ams that's always going to be at Raleigh, that would be ecstatic. That would be fucking amazing. But like they need to also do that with other tournaments as well. Personally, I think we should have 2 pro-ams, one call it the winter pro-am and then one like spring pro-am, whatever. And then always have them in the same 2 locations, whether that's somewhere over in Europe, or have like a Raleigh and Anaheim, or Raleigh and fucking I don't know. But like we need to have locations like that people can look forward to every single season.
No, we should have a
that
World
right
Cup. We need a World Cup, bro, not 2 pro.
Oh, I know.
A
World Cup would be fucking legit. But that's like my like mini rant. I've had a couple of them this episode. I'm so sorry, guys, but that's my mini rant.
Bro.
I'm gonna tie that into our next topic, which is over HCS. We just had OpTic Gaming with Formal win win HCS Orlando, and a lot of people are talking about Ken Formal. He's won now in Halo. He's won a shit ton in Call of Duty. Obviously, Worlds will be before the next Call of Duty game comes out, and it's in about 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks from now. A lot of people are saying like, what if he wins Worlds and then returns to Call of Duty for the next cycle? Could he still like have it on that side? So
that would be crazy, bro. If he leaves crazy. Call of Duty after what he did in Call of Duty, goes to Halo, wins champs, wins a event as well, goes back to Call of Duty, that would be insane. He'd probably be the first person to do that, right? I don't think anyone else has come close to that. Like I know Shotzi has won multiple FPS titles.
Actually, no. Shotzi won Worlds during like Black Ops 4 with Splice, and then he won with Dallas Empire. So
yeah,
he did do that. So, but yeah, I wanted to first congratulate OpTic Gaming for their win. That was it was crazy. I actually got to work behind the scenes in the production, doing all these. I was the stats coordinator. Technically, I think it was my role. So any stats that you guys saw on the screen, anything that popped up like that, I worked with the graphics department to get that up. It was actually a lot of fun. It was probably the most fun job I've ever done in esports. I had a blast. It's such an experience seeing the other side of it and how everything's gets made. But yeah, congrats to OpTic. And then personally, I would love to see Formal back in COD. I just think he got really burnt out by the end of it. I just think he was not enjoying Call of Duty. He didn't like a lot of the aspects in Call of Duty. He was burnt out with the grind every day, and then just had to, he was gonna take some time off to try to reignite that fire, and I think he found that rather quickly in Halo. And so maybe that's where he's like, honestly, I want him to do whatever he's happy with. And
do you remember? Carry on. I'll just find the graphic.
But yeah, one other thing, I meant like Shotzi won Halo 5, which was during Black Ops 4. I think it was during the start of Black Ops 4 when he won Halo 5 Worlds, and then he went over to Call of Duty after that. Not Black Ops 4. But he did try to compete in Black Ops 4. I don't know if you guys remember this, but
He was on a Halo team and they announced him, but he was only 17 at the time, I think. And Splice didn't realize that he couldn't compete, so they like announced that he was just gonna play like in Call of Duty, but then they'd come back and say, "Oh shit, he's only 17, he can't even play."
They actually had their entire Halo team play Call of Duty events. They were called Splice Black, I believe.
Yeah, there were
So
two
they're
Splice teams. TD Rex was
yeah.
on one of them, bro. He might have been on the one with Shotzi.
Yeah, well, no, he took Shotzi's spot because the other
Yeah,
three players were old enough. So the other three players were playing tournaments with Teddy. But I believe at one tournament didn't go well. I think they placed like dead last. But they did try. But that was when like Halo was like extremely on the down low after Halo 5 kind of like bombed out. But yeah, so personally, I just want Formula to do whatever he's happy with. If he does come back to Call of Duty, I think that would be fucking incredible storyline to see him return. But linking up with OpTic now goes into our next topic, which is some of their coaching discussions that have been had recently. I actually just saw it yesterday, the clip of Shotzi talking about it. You can probably add a little bit more context into this, but the main part of this is whether Sender is going to be remaining on the OpTic coaching staff going into next season. Obviously, he tweeted out at the beginning of the Rostermania that he's going to be exploring other options. But what have you heard? What do you think? Do you think that Sender's going to be back with OpTic, or do you think he's going to be joining another team?
Well, I'd heard, and I mentioned this on a podcast like 3 weeks ago, but I'd heard that Cinder was being looked at by subliners, and I think it got like pretty serious. And it wouldn't surprise me if he still went there. I didn't watch that clip from Shotzi, but I mean, when Shotzi talks about things, you got to take it with a grain of salt because a lot of times he's trolling. Like I posted a clip of him saying that he heard that CTF was the third game mode, and I knew that he probably didn't know because I could tell from everyone else that, like even Scump and Methods were like, "Oh, what the fuck?" Like I didn't hear that. So I think he does troll a little bit. So I don't know exactly what he said, but I wouldn't fully trust Shotzi. And you guys know what Shotzi's like. Like he's a little bit of a, I guess I don't know how to explain. A blondie, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, but he's sometimes he's a little bit naive, or I don't really know. He doesn't really know what's going on. He just says things for no reason. But that's just who he is as a person. But
I
you
think
guys know what I
now
mean.
I think now he like knows he's known as a leaker, so now he like trying
Yeah.
to like trolls it.
Yeah.
But
100%.
talking about like Sender, Troy, I do hope he stays on OpTic. I think he's a good coach. For what it's worth, I think he's done a good job with them over the years. I just think you guys also have to remember that's the biggest brand in Call of Duty, and those are the biggest personalities in Call of Duty. Like individual brands is probably the better word. So it's like you have to manage that, and it's very, very hard to manage all the personalities, all of the pressure that comes along with the fans. And I think he's done a good job of that over the years. I think he's done a really good job. He got help this season. He was obviously by himself in World War or Modern Warfare. He had Pac as his S&D coach, but he was pretty much by himself. It was a lot of work for one person, especially on a team that has the most amount of pressure to do well. And so this last year, I thought they kind of got like the shit end of the stick with everything that happened. So I do hope he's back, or if he does leave, I hope he lands on his feet on a really good team and is able to take that head coaching job and do really well with it.
I think
So
the New York one really depends on because I had heard at the start of Rostermania that D-Real could move from New York. I think probably a lot of it depended on Hydra. So if D-Real stays, assuming that he stays as a head coach, and because I know New York doesn't have like an actual GM, so I don't know, maybe you could do that. But there is also a GM role open at Surge because Novus left. So I don't know. I guess that really depends on what happens with D-Real, because if Cinder goes to New York, he would be like and at D-Real stays as head coach, he would be the assistant coach. So it's kind of like he didn't really go anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, and Glag already got their coach. They got Mikey B. Who else doesn't have a coach? Toronto, I guess, technically doesn't have one, but I think it's just Mayhem's being upgraded. And I think someone said Mystic. I don't know if you guys know who Mystic is. He's like the other challenger coach. And I saw that Josh also left. He was coaching the EU Toronto team. He left Singularity, so I don't know if maybe he moves over to the main team. But what other teams don't have a coach? I think that's it, right?
Well, a lot of teams are assessing either their assistant coach or like support staff around it.
Yeah.
So there's actually a lot of openings. Over in Seattle, Novus was their analyst as well as their GM. And now you don't have an analyst, you don't have an assistant coach there. LAG, you don't have an assistant coach or analyst there. LA
No, they have
Thieves.
they Bivol. Oh no, Bivels is the.
Nope.
Oh no, sorry,
Bivens
not
is gone.
Bivels. Ricky's the player
Player manager.
Yeah, my
But
bad, my bad.
you don't have an assistant coach or analyst there. LA Thieves doesn't have an analyst. London only doesn't have an assistant coach. I believe Cam is still there as their analyst, but they don't have an assistant coach. Florida doesn't have an assistant coach or analyst. Boston doesn't have I believe Dens is helping out as assistant coach, but they don't have an analyst.
I mean, JP is still a free agent too.
New York doesn't have an assistant coach or analyst.
Yeah.
The only one that has so there is actually a lot of opportunities still open. Just people think like everything is locked up because of like the head coaches, but there's still a lot of opportunities outside of the head coaches. So there's still a lot of opportunities for some like roster changes. Even Las Vegas. So Las Vegas actually they have theory, and then they do have an analyst who is actually one of my friends, JP Digits, who was he was over in the EU Challenger circuit during Cold War, and then he was their analyst this past year. So there's actually there is a lot of like openings that could still be taken, and I do hope we see a lot of like good coaches, good analysts come in, take those spots, and do well. So that's something I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks to see how that pans out. But yeah,
where would you want JP to go? Do you think OpTic would probably be the best fit for him?
He could go pretty much anywhere. He'll be in high demand. I don't know where he's focusing in on, but literally anyone would be looking at him, or you would be dumb not to. So he'll have his pick of the teams. He's probably waiting to see how everything like pans out before he actually goes in, because as I just like almost every team, their assistant coach is not set yet. And I'm like a firm believer that you probably need like a good trio. You probably need a
you guys have 4,
coach.
Right? You guys have a whole freaking starting lineup almost.
But like it's good to at least have a head coach and assistant coach, and then the analyst to help out with that. And then if you think S&D, if there's a good S&D coach that can bring something to the table, like that's something you can add on as well. But that's like what's really important. I firmly believe having 2 coaches, having 2 different voices that breaks up some of the conversations that makes that helps advance the team, because if people forget, like you're practicing for 6-7 hours a day. We only have 1 day off per week max usually. So having one coach that is busting your balls, getting on you constantly, just like trying to get you to improve. But usually as a coach, you kind of need to do that a little bit with a stern voice, beyond them. Having that for 6 days a week, 8 hours a day for 8 months. If you only have one coach that does that, that voice gets really, it can grind players down. So having 2 coaches that like alternates that takes the pressure off of a coach too. So you have 2 different, you could see 2 different things. You could have the conversation, the argument about which one's right, which one's wrong. You need that to be a top team and to be consistent, in my opinion. So like that's where he's probably waiting to see how that all shakes out. But the last topic we have for today is Gunless. Obviously, Gunless tweeted out that he still isn't signed as a substitute, and he needs to be signed to get his visa in order still, and he might be forced to retire if he doesn't get that. And so honestly, I'm really kind of shocked that no teams have signed him at least as a substitute. I think he's an asset. I don't think he's a player that is a veteran that just gets a spot just because of his name. I think he would honestly get a spot because of his talent and because of his like leadership, what he brings, his in-game IQ, and what he just brings to the table. Like I don't see how he hasn't been picked up at the very least a substitute spot. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of teams that have weaker or could have. I don't want to say it because I don't know how they're going to play in this new game, but could have possible weak spots on their AR duos that he could easily slot right in. So I'm kind of shocked to see him not have at least a substitute opportunity, especially because like negotiation wise, negotiation wise, if you're looking at this through the eyes of a GM, he's tweeting out that he really, really needs a substitute spot. This is a good time for a GM to not buy low, but to make an offer and get him in, because obviously
Yeah, I
he
mean,
really
minimum
needs
wage,
that.
like, he'll do that.
And
Well, they're just taking advantage of him, but I mean, if you're a sub, most subs are getting signed for minimum wage.
but if you just make a honest conversation and try to bring him in, not even taking advantage, like not even lower the rate, but have an honest conversation with him. He's going to take a risk on any team if he really needs to. You don't have to worry about you as a GM thinking like maybe other teams that are higher than me are going to try to get him. Like I don't know. I just can't believe that some teams aren't taking the risks to even a risk to sign him as a substitute player.
Yes,
So
I saw this
hopefully
tweet,
that works
bro.
out.
I saw this tweet, bro, and it's sad as fuck. Like the fact that it's come down to this for him to basically beg for a spot. Like I don't know, man. It's sad as fuck to see. And he tweeted that 8 days ago. So if he's only got 10 days, he's only got 2 days left. So I hope that someone has reached out to him, and sign him on a 50K per year minimum wage. But I think his issue would be because he can't get a visa, he wouldn't be able to come to the open events in America. So there's no point in him playing challenges, because why would anyone team with him when he can't fly over? But I don't know how that works, because it's like, can't you just come over on like a holiday, or like, I don't know how it works, bro. I don't cross borders or anything. We don't have borders over in New Zealand.
So you have
Can
to
you not
think
just
of
fly
like
over for like a weekend and chill?
if you earn money, that's considered
Yeah.
working.
Okay.
So like he would need a work like visa.
So every Canadian player that flies to America has to get like a work permit or whatever.
I'm honestly not too sure on that side, but
I'm
I
just
don't know.
confused, because I'm like, if everyone else can do it, if all these other players can do it, then why can't he do it? But I guess there's something. He wouldn't be tweeting this unless it was like a last resort. So I assume that there is an issue for him.
Yeah. I mean, personally, there's a lot of teams that if I was in charge of, I would at least be reaching out to gauge his interest, to have that conversation with him, because if he was in the Challenger circuit, he would instantly become like a top 5 player in the Challenger circuit. He's a veteran. He's been in multiple titles. He's been competing for best player when he's like in his not prime, but like in his when he's I don't know how to say it, but in like multiple games he's been in the fight for being a top player.
Yeah, for like 3 games in a row. He was 3 games in a row. He was like the best player at one point or another.
Yeah, and I did think he was very good. And when he was playing for LAG, I felt like he could be a little bit slow, and S&D was his weakness. But he also did lose a lot of time due to the surgery that he had to have. So I hope he just gets a shot as a substitute, and he's really eager to like prove himself in the challenger side if he needs to. So I definitely think he should have an opportunity somewhere. But
someone in the chat needs to take one for the team and marry him so he can come over. I actually think he has a missus, but obviously can't just get married for the sake of it, for the sake of a visa.
I think that he added that in his tweet. I'm pretty sure too.
Yeah, he did. I wasn't sure if he's joking or not, but no, someone should definitely take one for the team and get married to Gunless.
It was funny, but yeah. So that's all the topics we have for today. If anyone has any questions in the chat, we could do some quick Q&A.
I think Omar wanted to speak about the sensor thing too, but I didn't really get into. I didn't really look at it. I don't know if you saw it.
I haven't either, so I wanted to say that for next week to see if he actually does anything with it.
I want to see the list, man. Sensor is his content, bro. I don't know what else to say. It's the things he comes up with on his tweets and what he does. Man's still grinding, ranked for the number 1 in the top 250.
As a European, is it not easy to get from Canada to America? So it is. Like, if I wanted to go to Canada, like I could, but I just remember. So when we went to Toronto, I had to have like a pamphlet like this big, bro, and I had to take it with me to the airport, with like everything in case they ask questions. But like I didn't need like I didn't have like a special visa or anything. But like you have to claim certain stuff on your customs. So I don't really know. I don't want to like comment incorrectly here, but it's not as like simple as like I'm just traveling to Canada for a holiday, or I'm traveling to the U.S. for a holiday. Like, you have to like say what you're doing and why you're there. So it's a little bit weird that way. I'm pretty sure he would like anyone from Canada coming in to compete because it's still like you're still working a job technically. You would need a work visa, so it's a little bit weird. But if I wanted to just go to Canada tomorrow, I just need a passport and then I could skirt right over. But yeah,
One thing
no.
You carry on because I'm about to change subject.
I was gonna say no coddle today without Rob. We're gonna have coddle and a couple other stuff next week when we have we're gonna have the full crew next week, so it'll be a lot easier.
The return of Rab.
And,
I was gonna say I didn't tweet this out, but Equipped. Oh no, when we were talking about coaches, I didn't mention this. But Equipped from he was the S&D coach for Surge. He took Surge out of his bio, and someone messaged me and said he was leaving, but I never tweeted about it, so I'm not sure how many people really.
that's what I mean. There's a lot of like coaching opportunities across the league, so
huge, bro. Plenty, heaps of them.
And I don't think you're gonna see that like shore up. Like you're not gonna see that be done until the end of October. It's a long process for that. But I saw Turtle. Should they award CDL points for the Pro-Am for beating Challengers teams? Look, I don't think you should ever award points for wins outside of like doing like the league matches. For anything like the Pro-Am and stuff like that, points should only be determined based off placement. And for the Pro-Am, I would personally not award points outside of the top 3. Like I feel like
they announced that. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought.
I don't know how it's gonna work. How's it gonna work? Are they just gonna just ignore the amateur placements and then just say, oh, this is how the CDL teams place 1 to 12? I don't know how it's gonna work.
I don't know. I'm just assuming they're just gonna like
because I don't think they should count up for
play
CDL
spoiler.
points either. Yeah.
I think Challenger teams are gonna play spoiler and like they can't earn CDL points, but they can block pro teams from earning CDL points, which would be kind of funny. But I personally think at the Pro-Am it should only be like the top 3 placements max that get CDL points, like 40 points for first, 30 for second, and 20 for third, and then maybe like 10 for fourth. Like do like a third, fourth place decider match for those 10 extra points. But
do we know how the is it going to be like assuming there's going to be like a challenger tournament pre-Pro-Am to decide who's going to the Pro-Am?
Yeah, I would assume there's got to be a qualifier for that on that end.
But then what does that mean for European teams? Can they qualify, or is it going to be like maybe one from APAC, one from Latin America, and then the rest? I don't know. Yeah, because they didn't say anything about that, and it's in like 2 months.
I'm a little bit biased, but I would do 3-1 EU and 3-1 NA-EU. Do like 3 spots for the NA qualifier and 1 spot for the EU, and then have them over, or I don't know, or base it off of the Challenger champs final, like that. They'll find some way.
Yeah, but the team's a little different though, so it's kind of like who gets the spot.
Yeah.
You know?
So they'll have to find.
Maybe
some
there's
way
like a cup. Maybe they just do a cup, and it's like the top 3 teams make it or whatever. I don't know.
Possibly, but okay. So where does your money go for MVP and champs odds for this next season?
Oh, did you see there's MVP odds? Did you see them?
Is there already, bro? They are on top of all this shit.
Omar, I don't know if you want to pull it up on stream, but it's on the CDL book. Oh, what's the CDL Sportsbook, the Twitter page. I'll tell you guys the odds. So the odds for MVP at the moment for champs, which is they have a day on here that says the 5th of August. I don't know if they actually have the day on it. So it's Salium, Dashi, Sim are the top 3. Bro, they've got Pred is like, what's that, 3-6? Pred is 10th.
Shit.
Pred is 10th, bro. That's crazy. He's behind Scump, Scrappy, Kleenex. Like, I would put money on Pred. I could be sucking his dick at the moment, but I don't know.
Outside of my team, outside of ATL, I won't say anything outside of ATL. I don't want to seem too like biased on that side. Outside of ATL, my money for MVP would probably be on Shotzi or Pred. I feel like Shotzi or Pred would be a good one. I always think it's usually going to be SMG focused or highlighted, just because everyone's just under the assumption like ARs get high KD, but SMGs are where the real impact comes from. So I just assume like on the voting wise, that's how it's going to shake out. For champs,
I would say for my MVP, I would say in order: Celium, Pred, and either Shotzi or ABZ.
It's pretty safe, yeah. For the who's gonna win champs, again outside of ATL. Damn, man.
It's way too early to call this shit. Like,
yeah, if I had to do like some like deep fucking pick, probably. Damn, man, I want to do like some like wacky fucking way out team like Minnesota. Because everyone's just gonna say either like Texas or obviously like
the top three. It's gonna be the people gonna pick from
or
top
like
three.
LA Thieves, but honestly, no teams ever repeated. So that's why I'm gonna not do LA Thieves. So I'm just
Rock is a good
I'm gonna
show.
do some
Rock is a good
fucking
show.
wild. I'm just gonna do Minnesota.
I don't know if that's too wild, but we'll give it to you.
Who do you got?
I mean, I would probably agree with Rocco, or I would say Surge, but I don't know. I feel like I'm a bit biased on Surge. And it's kind of like
Not
Surge
bad at all.
depends a lot on like mech and accuracy, just as it was last year. So I don't
Mhm.
know why Ultra. I don't agree with Ultra being that high. I'll be honest.
Not yet. I'm not
Like,
100% sold.
I feel like Bit365 is putting a lot of stock into Scrappy because they had Scrappy like 7th on the MVP list, which is crazy to me.
And then they had Kleenex right there with them. Kleenex
Yeah.
and then and those guys were right there in the top, like ahead of Pred. So I'm interested. I want to see how they do. It's a tough one. The only other question we'll do, I guess, is who won Rostermania in your opinion?
Who won
Obviously,
Rostermania?
it could be a team, be a player.
I
Who do you
would.
think?
Team and a player. Okay, I'll give you both. I'll give you one. The player that won Rostermania is Slasher. He literally went from Gorillas to the best team in the game right now on paper. Obviously we Thieves are champs though, but Slasher one. I would love to see like a camera of what he looked like when he got off the phone to whoever he spoke to or whoever he deemed. I know that guy was cheesing from ear to ear. Imagine getting a call from Atlanta FaZe being like, "Yo, do you want to join us? Do you want to be our leader?" Like, right? He would have been like, "Hell yeah, send me the contract yesterday, ASAP, right now. I will sign that shit right now with whatever you need. I will sign it with my own blood. Like, I will sign that shit." But Slasher for me is the player that won Rostermania, and for the team, I would say Rocker. I think they did a pretty good job. I think they did a pretty good job considering that they basically squad wiped aside from Attach. They have a really good player on their bench too, Fame, which he was a really good SMG player for challenges. But I think they won. They obviously spent a shitload of money from what everyone understands. But I think they did a really good. But what about you? Who do you think?
So I'm gonna try to go out there. I'm gonna do Bance. I think Bance
Vince?
is a low-key sleeper for one Rostermania because
Yeah.
personally I value him a lot. I value his contributions, what he brings to a team, like high. Like I think he was one of the big reasons why Toronto was really good. He allowed his star players to be star players and like put them in positions to be in that role and to be not kicked off, but be released from Toronto and kind of be put out to the wolves. It's very easy as a support player, as not a star player, to really drop down really quickly because it's just hard to find another spot to. But to be able to land on Minnesota with Cammy, with Attach, with Afro, I think that's a power team. I think he landed in a very good spot right off the rip, and I feel like that's a team where he could be in a position to be at the same level as Toronto, if not better, this season if they click. So that's my winner. And then team wise, damn it's so hard to pick a team, honestly, because I want to say Minnesota, but you just said Minnesota, so I gotta like find a different one.
That is tough. I mean, what are the? I feel like no other team like really. What teams got better? I feel like there isn't
It's
that
tough.
many.
It's tough because all the like the top
Gorillas?
teams stuck.
Yeah.
I guess like because like all the top
OpTic could
teams
be a winner
stuck.
because they end up keeping Dashi and Ellie, I guess. I'm not sure if that's a win. I think that's a win for OpTic fans. I don't know about
I
that.
mean, to me that's like a to be determined, you know.
Yeah.
Um, that's what's hard is like all the top teams stuck.
Vegas? Someone say Vegas. Vegas got better.
Yeah, because they're going to be a big upgrade compared to what they were in years past, hopefully. Um, I don't know. It's really tough for me to say who won. I want to say Minnesota. You could say LA Thieves because they stuck after winning. I mean, obviously they're going to stick,
Gorillas, they
but
got Arcides.
yeah,
It's a pretty big win.
it's tough.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like teams that could be big winners. It could be they could look back and wish they did something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess I'll go with Vegas just because I think they're going to be taking a step up from what they were, and I think they're one of the clear-cut teams outside of like Minnesota that actually took a big step, like big step up this next year. Hopefully,
So Vegas over under 2 wins.
it's gotta be over.
Bro, I'm gonna say I don't know. Maybe we already called this, but I'm gonna say this year they're gonna get 11 wins. I'll say 11. I think
That's a
that's
lot.
more than they got in Cold War. I think in Cold War they got 9 or 10.
And then I saw one last one we'll do too is I saw it in the YouTube chat by OG Richie. He said who do you think is the rookie of the year leader coming into this next year?
I mean, Scrappy's we didn't get that many rookies, right? We got Scrappy, we got Vehicle, we have Wardy and Beans on the bench, and that's it, right? Like I hold on, I made a list. Who else? We don't have any other rookies besides those two, right? And those
We
two on
have
the bench.
Fickle, Wardy, and Beans on the bench. Scrappy. Trying to think
That's
New
it.
York, London.
Brack doesn't count. He was in the league, but no, that's
Oh.
it. It's literally. I'm looking at the list now. I tweeted it out a couple days ago.
And
Vehicle,
I guess we could
Beans,
think about
Wardy, and Scrappy. That's it. And we've got to think about obviously. Oh, Fame as well. There's Fame.
aim. Yeah.
Um,
Definitely is.
and there's Hixie as well.
Yep.
The class isn't looking like too like large at the moment. Like there is good players though, but I think I'm gonna say Scrappy, but that's kind of a boring answer. There's really most people will say between Scrappy and Vico at the moment because we don't know if Beans and Wardy are gonna make their debut. I think Wardy probably has more of a chance than Beans because
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
not so
probably.
yeah.
On
Because that New York team's a little bit weird.
Yeah. Damn, that's really tough. I mean, I guess money's got to be on Scrappy.
Yeah.
Money's got to be on Scrappy. It's probably heavily Scrappy and Vickle for obvious reasons. They're in the league right now. Outside, I think I gotta think Wardy. I think Wardy's gonna be up there. And yeah, I think that's all we got in us, unless anyone's got any last second questions. It's actually really nice episode we had.
Yeah, it's a little bit different when there's just two of you because I've had this with Reb one time and it's just each of us shooting shit at each other.
Yeah, it's like a combo.
It's like less chaos.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, expansion. I just read that expansion. Yeah, we need that bad.
I mean, we've got to wait till the Microsoft deal, right? Like, I don't think they're gonna expand
Hopefully.
while this deal's still happening.
I mean, honestly, the in the perfect world, we have 16 teams, and every event has an open bracket, and just like for those of you who don't watch Halo, 12 teams automatically make it into the pool play. 4 teams that come out through winners get put into pools. So there's 4 amateur teams that make it into the pools, and then 4 amateur teams that come through losers, the losers open bracket. For the 4 teams remaining there, go to the losers bracket in the professional bracket, like in the losers bracket. So I think ideally in a perfect world, we have pro league tournaments where we have 16 teams and 4 amateur teams every event get put into the losers bracket on losers round 1. So we at least have amateurs that can play in every single professional tournament. So I feel like that would be really cool. Another thing too is the elites. I hope the elites turn into 16 teams in each region, and then we have they were in CS. They were called Global Showdowns for the Premier. So like the top 4 teams from each region would play in a Premier tournament, and that would be really ecstatic. And a fucking World Cup would be crazy. But yeah, I think we're gonna be wrapping this up. We had an excellent episode. For those who after the fact, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate all the support we get across all platforms, from Spotify to Apple Podcasts, everything we get on YouTube. We read all the comments. We see everything that you guys say out there. We read all the chat in here. So thank you guys so much for all the support you guys give us. We wouldn't be here without you guys. So
Give us some
is there
5 stars,
anything else?
please. 5 stars.
There we go. There we go. Is there
Yeah,
anything
Omar
else,
wants to
Crone,
get
you want to
plugged.
add before we head out?
No, man, that's it. It's probably gonna be a quiet week next week. We're still waiting for, I think, 3 teams to announce. We don't have no beta. We don't have anything like that. I don't think there's really much. Not much will happen over the next week. I'm sure Rab will pull some topics out of his ass. He's like, he's the man. But yeah, no, that's about it, man. Like, we had a good episode, just me and you. It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah. Until next week, guys. We'll be back hopefully with a full crew. So we'll see you guys next week. Peace out.